Fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJ Zacharyson and Danny Carter, living the stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late-round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely, is that a cardigan-wearing co-host, Denny Carter? Denny, what's going on, buddy?
I am wearing a cardigan. It was time. It's time to bring out the cardigans. They've been in a little dresser that we have in the sunroom. So
what's the temp there right now?
The temperature is it's actually not too bad. It's like 50 something.
We got 65 here right now.
It's 59.
Okay.
So 10 away from a nice temperature, but we'll take it for this time of year. It's not. I've actually been hitting golf balls in my backyard recently. So
yeah, we went to an amusement park, Carowinds. It's called. It's in Charlotte. It's like there's actually some really big coasters there and stuff like that. But they did like their Christmassy thing Saturday evening. They started it, or I think they started on Friday. But we went for a birthday with friends and stuff like that, and it was just like hoodie weather at night. Nice. Like in an amusement park so we're like sitting there and they're making like fake snow and there's like a Christmas parade. I'm like, this doesn't feel right because it's only I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm barely cold.
That's the thing. So whatever is happening with our great and glorious climate, Christmas is not the same. It's like here in Maryland, it used to get snow sometimes around Christmas. But now it's like 50 degrees every year. It's it's a weird thing. I will say it is nice to have, whether you can still be outside and not be totally miserable. But one thing that is hard to, if there's a disconnect, it's kind of strange is that it's warm, but then the sun's going down at 5 o'clock. And that's not something I'm used to.
Yeah, it's not. We need to do away with all this. Can we just stop this? It's just it's silly.
It's disorienting is the word.
Very disorienting. Yeah. It's even worse, of course, whenever you have children and stuff. You know what else is tough as you age and have children, Denny? Is this is my segue. Back pain. I learned separately. So I had Jacob Gibbs on Late Round Perspectives last week. We very briefly, like he said that he had like back issues or whatever. He's in his 20s too, but he said that he's had back issues and yoga helped him and all. And he's like he's into mindfulness and all that kind of stuff. But then I mentioned that like I've had back issues basically since last year. So I never had a back issue in my life. And then last year around this time, I think I talked about it on the show, I went and I picked up CJ when he was a lot lighter than he is today. Again, this is a year ago, right? So he wasn't even a year old at the time. I went and picked him up. It was the day after I had gotten Christmas decorations down, and I did like a little bit of a lift the day before that. And I'd never felt lower back pain like that in my life. It just shot. I couldn't move for the rest of the day. I was stuck to my couch, and I immediately started texting our mutual friend Dr. Edwin Porras, and he put together a little plan for me. And in a couple of weeks, I was able to stretch my way out of, feeling at least relatively back to normal. But I have these ebbs and flows, and the best way to describe it at this point is that I just have a lot of tightness in my back, right? And I've learned that you as well have back problems. And we learned this by someone who listened to your show and listened to my show. What's going on with your back, Denny?
Yeah. Right. So I've been working in the kitchen lately because I want to get some sunlight on my face, and we have a big window there in the front of the kitchen. So that's been nice. But the little table that I'm working at is not conducive to, working, like having the laptop on it, and then I have to kind of crane my neck down.
Good posture, right?
Yeah, terrible, horrible posture. If you were to see this, you would call the cops for some reason. And so like the middle of my back started to like get really sore and like tender. And I was like, wonder why, huh? Like maybe I'm working out too much. Maybe I'm just pushing my body too hard.
Yeah. Right.
And then I started working one morning and I bend down and my neck cranes down. And I go, oh God, that's it. That's the one. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. I've realized that, like, your pillow matters. Your like my wife got me new pillows to use. Are you a 1 or 2 pillow guy at night?
1.
I'm a 2 pillow guy. Look, you're sticking your up drinking that.
Yeah. No. What did you say?
You were pinking that up while you were drinking that water just now. Yeah. I'm a 2 pillow guy.
Yeah. I actually sometimes I just throw the pillows off and I sleep just on the bed.
Do you like a child, like a toddler? Like
Like
CJ just sleeps in his bed at night, nothing. There's nothing in the crib. It's just
like a little baby.
It's just him hanging out there. I don't like laying flat. I have like I've always had like inner ear stuff. So like whenever I lay completely flat, I have that like pseudo vertigo sensation. I'm
Really?
like, I don't, yeah, to some degree, it's not like super, super strong, but sometimes it can be strong. And so I've always used at least a pillow, but I'm more of a 2 pillow guy. But that also can mess up your spine, mess up your back.
Yeah.
Not fun at all.
By the way, I'm so jealous of Matthew Stafford and his wife Kelly, I believe her name is. They get to use that awesome mattress that they're always on TV.
Oh yeah. Is it the one that you can like both sides can control their side and stuff like that?
That's cool. Although, I don't know, having a couple like in bed on my TV 24 hours a day, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I feel like I need a new chair too behind me, like the one that I'm sitting in now. I feel like it makes me hunch over a little bit. Podcasting makes me hunch over because it like if I were to sit back in this chair, I'd be lounging. I'm like lean forward constantly.
Okay.
That's another thing that that I need. I don't know. I just feel like back problems become a thing in your 30s, evidently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my 40s, but generally my back is okay. So someone said you need to go to a chiropractor. Well, I did that once, and actually Edwin knows about this story. I did that once, and it was a total like fraud scam situation where they saw I had good insurance, and so they just like pushed me through, and suddenly I have someone like massaging like what's the bone back here, the like
the bone,
the bone, like the I don't want to say angel bone. What is it called?
I don't know. They're getting after your bone though.
Yeah, they're massaging not the part of my back that hurts, and I'm like, excuse me, that's not where I'm hurting. And they were like, wait, what? It was a horrible experience. So I will not be doing that again.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in chat are saying, sounds like you're describing a chiropractor. I mean, not there. We've never really like ventured into this space on this podcast before, but chiropractors are pretty controversial in general. Yeah. Some people swear by them and some say never go to one. I'll never go to one. I think I've talked about it before on the show. I have what's called Chiari malformation. It's a real thing. Have I talked about that in the show before?
No.
It's like a thing where I'm asymptomatic, but some people are symptomatic. It's your brain. You have like tonsils back here in the back, like in your neck and your spine. And some people's brain kind of like comes down a little bit too far. And like you get like spinal symptoms and stuff like that. Yeah. It's become more and more common that people realize they have it because of MRI and stuff like that. And so, but some people have to get like this brain surgery. It's not like crazy brain surgery, but it's surgery on your brain that you have to go and fix it. It's a relatively common thing, versus some of the more rare like things that you could possibly have. I found out I had it because I got migraines in like high school and throughout my childhood and stuff. Knock on wood, I've mostly grown out of them, but they did an MRI and they're like, oh, you have Chiari malformation. And then my dad also has it, and he didn't know until he was like in his 60s.
Really?
Yeah. So, but that's a reason why I will never ever. I'm like lucky that I never played football because because it could have really messed up my head and my spine and stuff and my neck. That's why I'll never go to a chiropractor ever.
Yeah, mostly I've gotten away with the back stuff, but I was hurting pretty good. The one thing I always worry about is my hamstrings. Have you ever tweaked your hamstring?
Not totally. No, my pain usually whenever I, like tight, like my back more so is just tight now these days. Like that, it's back tightness. It's not like the sharp pains that I had the one time that I, like last year. It's more
Yeah.
so just like trying to stretch it out, trying to get it going and moving my body more so that it doesn't feel as tight. Hamstring though, no, I usually get butt muscle problems.
Oh yeah, I've had that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
hamstring feels like you've been shot. Like I don't know
Yeah.
when like you're like, oh, like you're like, what? Wait, what was that? Like,
Yeah.
did a dog bite me? Like,
Yeah.
what happened there? The hamstrings.
And then
That's a tough.
you wonder how these players are playing through
I,
them.
I can see why they react the way they do. You know how it looks so like sudden sometimes when
Yeah.
like you really pop a hamstring. Like, oh, okay, I get
Yeah.
that now.
Index of suspicion is pretty active in here. I'm wondering if are you in the medical field? Index of suspicion, is that part of what's going on here? Because you get like sciatica question mark. There's a lot of like
Yeah,
deep like strong words being used. No, used to be. Okay, there we
used
go.
to be.
That's the
Okay.
answer. That's the answer. No, I've always I know that my butt, hips, and low back are all tied to one another, which is why I have the tightness that I have.
Ooh. Before we move on, I have a fun 41-year-old physical thing going on, and it's this. I'm so tight, like I'm so unflexible, and I truly mean like I can't even come close to touching my toes. Okay.
Isn't it so depressing thinking about how easy things were when you were like 20
Oh
to
yeah.
just to do any. I was thinking the other day, I was like bending over. I'm like, oh, like I made like an actual like grunt as I like bent over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like
Didn't used to
I'm
do that.
officially old
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
so
go
I'm
on.
I'm so tight that um when I bend over to pick something up off the floor or like get a shoe on or something, um I can feel like a pulling
Mm,
in my heel from the rest of my leg. It's all connected. I can feel, and I'm like my heel like feels very weird, not necessarily painful, but I can
yeah.
feel it in my heel to the point where I'm like, should I get this checked out? And of course, I'm not going to. But
Yeah.
it
So,
is
well,
it's
someone
a weird
listening
thing.
will message you and say
Oh,
you need to do something or you don't need. That's why we're talking about this right
well,
now.
so,
Is that we're getting unsolicited advice. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and someone will text me or will DM me and tell me I have heel cancer. Is what
Right. Sure. Yes. Someone, by the way, touching your toes is not a thing that you should be able to just easily do, for the
I,
record.
I agree. I don't know.
You got to
I
be
don't
like a
know like
big
what.
yogi to be able to do that kind of thing. Like Roy in chat says, I stretch 3 to 4 times a week for long distance runs and I still can't touch my toes. Yeah, like it's not like I tried to stretch a lot when I was training for the half and stuff like that, and it is it's not easy. Chris coming up with the he says heel aids in chat. Mike also says piriformis, which is what the butt muscle is that I'm referring to. I have to do, the stretch when you're on your back. Okay. You're on your back. You lift your leg up and then you put your ankle by your other knee, like on top of it, and you kind of
Yeah,
pull on the leg.
yeah,
That's the one that gets me best.
yeah.
I love it. I could sit. There are some stretches, like I did a stretch today, like a guided stretch today, and through Peloton, and the kind of stretches that they're doing, like, oh, it feels so good. And I'm like, no, I'm in pain right now.
This
This
is
is not,
horrible.
yeah, it's more stretching should make you feel good. It shouldn't make you feel pain.
I don't know, man. I feel like stretching has always made me feel pain. So
Yeah, stretching's, yeah. It's a really tough thing to like really like prioritize because it's just so boring and dumb
yeah,
and you'd rather just
it is. I'm not doing it. And if anybody sends me some tips or tricks on stretching, I will not read them. I just want to be
never
clear.
gonna stretch.
No.
Anyway, let's look at what happened in week 11. It's actually probably our best week of the season, or one of the best weeks of the season. We did have Russell Wilson, which was a failure. He only had 6.3 points in that game against Baltimore. Have to say, Denny, I kind of called it.
You did.
I kind of called it about the Steelers Ravens. I had this feeling it's going to go this way because that's the way
Yeah.
that Steelers Ravens games go.
You
And
did call it, and Russ is bad. So
yeah, he definitely had a bad game. That interception thrown to Darnell Washington in the end zone. Like, what are you doing, Dutch?
what is that?
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah.
But my Steelers, 8-2, baby.
Oh God.
First place. Pittsburgh going to the Super Bowl.
I have a tough time with the Steelers because they do everything the wrong way and they still win.
That's the Mike Tomlin effect.
I
And
know.
people on this show have been giving me garbage for years about Mike Tomlin being a bad coach. Get out of here.
I mean, he's a great players coach.
Yeah, great
but,
motivator.
I mean, like Ben Baldwin on Blue Sky the other day was saying that Mike Tomlin made 3 of the 6 worst 4th down calls.
Yeah, he's a terrible in-game manager. It's been the Steelers since Chuck Noll, probably. We just don't have data on it. I mean, like Bill Cowher was terrible in game too. Yeah, like the whole franchise is just what they're known for doing and being.
Because I mean, like, okay, the Steelers are trying to replay the 1972 season over and over and over again, and it has actually worked a lot over the years.
We have 6 Super Bowls now, so
yeah. right, and so good for them. I think they found the right coaches to do that sort of thing. But the Bears have tried to replay the 1985 season over and over and over again, and that hasn't worked. So it's not a great formula, I don't think.
Yeah. So Russell Wilson was our worst play of last week because we had Bo Nix, who scored 29 points. We had Drake May, who scored 18 points. We had Jameis Winston, who put up 26.6. Did you realize that? That
I did.
I didn't really realize it until I looked today that he scored almost 27 fantasy
starting
points.
him in a couple leagues, and I felt pretty good.
Yeah. So a pretty good quarterback week, even with Russ in that poor performance. Tight end, we had Zach Ertz, who had 18.7. We had Jonnu Smith, who had 28 PPR points. we had Will Dissly, who had 18. Our three tight, dude. I lost my home league because he had Will Dissly because George Kittle was out. It's depressing. I can't go on anymore talking about it. Zach Ertz, Jonnu Smith, and Will Dissly, our only 3 tight ends. 19, 28, and 18 PPR points. We will never match that.
Never. If we do this show for another 25 years, we will never have a tight end week like that.
Right. It's like one of those math, like physics problems, where people say, if you put your hand and you punch it against a table or something, or place against a table, eventually it'll go through the table. Isn't that what like physicists say? Like,
yeah, right.
It's gonna,
right.
It's like a 1 in 9 quadrillion chance or something. Yeah. That's exactly, our hand went through the table last week.
There's someone in the chat who wants to point out, and it's a good point, Jonnu Smith's points came on an uncovered touchdown. They shouldn't count. They shouldn't count that.
Shouldn't count the uncovered touchdown.
It wasn't covered. You got to be covered for it to count.
Oh man. And then on defense, we did have Cleveland. They were 1 point, but they weren't necessarily our top. Our top defense was Houston. They had 19. Miami had 6. Green Bay had 4. Green Bay was kind of a disappointment. And then the Rams had 9. So overall, like, we had 4 out of 5 good defenses, or pretty good defenses, 3 out of 5 at least. All 3 tight ends were good. 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks were good. I kind of want to retire at this point.
It's really good. I mean, we actually got a shout out on Patreon, which was really nice. Someone said you guys killed it this week, and we did.
Yeah. I mean, look, we absolutely annihilated, and I'm glad that we did, because week 12 is going to be the worst week of Living the Stream history, I think.
We actually don't have anybody to recommend, so we're going to move right to the questions.
Look, I wish that we could have no one to talk about this week. Have you looked at your teams and like what is going on with these bye weeks this week? It is absolutely absurd.
And I have teams that I have to win. Like I have to win.
Yes.
And I'm looking at my roster and I can't win.
Denny, I'm my Scott Fishbowl team, Denny. This is week one of the playoffs is week 12 for Scott Fishbowl. Okay. My Scott Fishbowl team has 4 quarterbacks. It's a super flex league. Has 4 quarterbacks. 3 of them are on bye. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Burrow. I also stacked Burrow with T. Higgins and Chase Brown. They're out. I also have Bijan Robinson. He's out. My whole team is out. I'm not going to advance to Scott Fishbowl, despite the fact that I've got to be one of the hottest teams in Scott Fishbowl since like week 4. And now it's just done.
You should have checked the bye weeks. You should have checked the bye weeks, bro.
I should have. You want to know how much research I did for that league in terms of that much depth? Not, I didn't do much at all of the research for that league. Anyway, let's move on to week number 12. Denny, you can kick things off with a quarterback. I gotta just preface, none of these are good plays.
No, not really. Real quick, someone asked, is Denny in the Scott Fishbowl playoffs? No, absolutely not. Like, it was a complete disaster. Anyway, Drake May, still only rostered in 14% of leagues somehow. Patriots don't have a great implied total. Dolphins are 7-point favorites here against New England. May does have a little bit of the Konami code thing going on, 15 rushing attempts over his past 3 games. They should be chasing points here, so maybe you get a little more of that. Since week 7, the Patriots have a 65% drop back rate. That's 3% over expected, so you could have a little volume here. And Drake May has 18 fantasy points in 3 of his past 5 games.
Yeah, I think May's probably the best of the 4 that we're talking about today. Another one, he was the picture that I used for the thumbnail this week, Will Levis, because that's where we're at with all these bye weeks. Will Levis gets Houston. Houston is the 12th best matchup in adjusted points allowed to quarterbacks, so pretty neutral matchup overall. Levis is coming off a 15-point game. He scored 19 and 15 over his last 2, and those are against the Chargers and the Vikings. So, I think that the Houston secondary has been beat a little bit better than them this season. To me, the absolute biggest fear for this game for me is that Houston's done a really good job this year of pressuring quarterbacks, and Tennessee has done a horrific job it's also a quarterback statistic, but have done a horrible job at allowing pressures. So I do think that there is a chance that Houston gets to 8+ sacks in this game.
Wow.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's just like an apps or at least a ton of quarterback hits, ton of quarterback pressures. So that's definitely a fear. You look at their implied total, it's only 16.5. You're kind of hoping in this game, I think, for Will Levis to really work out and get 16, 17 fantasy points. They hit a negative game script quick, like very quickly. And then all of a sudden they have to throw. I don't think they're going to be able to run though either. Houston's been pretty good, against running backs and against the ground game. So I'm not high on Levis by any means, but this is where we're at for week 12.
Yeah, Houston shuts down opposing run games, so good luck to William Q. Levis IV. I have Jameis Winston, and I know it's a bad situation. Like, I saw that the implied total for Cleveland went from 19.5 to 16.
Yeah,
overnight.
There's some weather concerns.
The weather, right? Yeah. And so I get that, but I mean, look, we're talking about a Jameis Winston offense, so we're gonna get 45 dropbacks here. It's like maybe 50 plus against the Steelers. 71% of the yards gained against Pittsburgh this year have come through the air. That's the 5th highest rate in the league. I feel like just pure disgusting volume driven stuff for Winston could help him sort of kind of get there here.
Yeah, I will say this, okay? This is a classic Steelers L game.
Oh, what? No way.
Classic Steelers L. Classic Mike Tomlin era L. If they win on Thursday, then I think this will be the year they finally win a playoff game after not winning one. Because I'm telling you, Denny, I've been a Steelers fan my entire life. I watch this team more than any other team. Now, I know that my fandom has been a lot different over the last 5 to 10 years because of my job and all that kind of stuff. But this is anyone who's been a Steeler fan and who has gone through the roller coaster of the last decade of this team knows that this is the classic Mike Tomlin loss. This is it.
That would be shocking. Honestly.
Just wait. When that game's closer than you realize, just wait. Just remember me saying this. And if the Steelers blow them out, I want everyone to hit me up on Twitter or Blue Sky. Do it on Blue Sky. Actually. I don't want to deal with it on Twitter.
No.
Hit me up on Blue Sky and make fun of me for saying this.
Well, I mean, you're talking about 2 to 3 defensive touchdowns for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and look, Germs the Germ in chat says playing down to competition is a Tomlin staple. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. They beat Baltimore. They're so good against Baltimore, right? Because Tomlin knows how to play to competition. Yeah. Like, it's just what he does every single week. So yeah, I'm fearful that game is going to be closer than folks realize. I don't know if that's going to favor or not favor Winston. I think it might not favor him because we kind of want the negative game script to hit.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, they're not going to want to throw the ball in that kind of weather. That's the fear.
Yeah. Please don't be right.
By the way, though, my speaking of my Scott Fishbowl team, my only quarterback is Jameis Winston. Yeah.
Godspeed.
Fun time. I could go after this next one. Tommy DeVito.
Ugh.
I think that Tommy DeVito might end up being my QB2 on this list of 4, where Levis has the issue with the pressure rate stuff. Winston has the issues that we just talked about. Drake May, I think, is the 1A, right? Like the go-to play, and just cross your fingers. Tommy DeVito. Giants have an implied team total over 18 points. Buccaneers are the second best matchup for quarterbacks and adjusted points allowed. And the Buccaneers this season have allowed plus 40 yards, passing yards over expectation to opposing quarterbacks. Now, DeVito was pretty horrific last year.
Oh, terrible.
Like pretty bad. But I do like the spot. Like, I think this could be a decent enough game for him to give us that 15, 16 point performance.
I don't think there's any spot good enough for DeVito. I think he's that bad. I mean, he was sacked on 40% of his pressures last year.
Yeah, no, he's bad.
Okay, like and like the second lowest air yards per attempt. Like, he's just super inaccurate. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I would play anybody except for Bryce Young over.
The only thing that's saving me and making me feel more optimistic is that I do think the surroundings for DeVito this year are better than what they were last year.
With neighbors, yeah.
All right, let's go to tight end.
Yeah,
Zach Ertz. So go ahead. Yeah, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, we're back on Ertz. He's still available somehow. Washington playing Dallas. His targets over the past 4 games look like this: 11, 1, 8, and 7. So you'll take that. Zach Ertz is 7th in tight end pass routes and 6th in tight end targets. Washington has an implied total of 27.25, the second highest of the week.
Someone's asking if you should play DeVito or Minshew. Minshew gets Denver. I'm playing DeVito over Minshew.
I would go with Minshew.
Okay. Well, doesn't help them at all. All right. We're going back to Will Dissly. Will Dissly, this is an average opponent on paper by adjusted points allowed against Baltimore. I think the pace of this game is probably going to be a little bit slower, but there's a pretty good total. The Chargers have a 24-point implied team total. I think Baltimore, they're at like 26.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dissly's averaging a 23% target share per game over his last 5, which is wild.
Crazy.
His route share dropped against Cincinnati. It went to 56%, which was kind of alarming because he's been in that like 65, 75% range, but he's just been so good. His yards per route run during this 5-game stretch is well over 2. Like, Dissly is having an unbelievable season, like all things considered. I think that honestly, my rest of season rankings, I was like 6 or 7 tight end spots higher with Dissly than the market. Like, I think, like, this might sound crazy, but let me ask you, who would you rather have rest of season, Will Dissly or Mark Andrews?
Dissly.
I think you have to. Now that I'm thinking about it more, I think that Andrews will give you the market value and stuff if you are able to trade, all that kind of stuff. But like, when Isaiah Likely's been healthy, Mark Andrews is running worse routes than Dissly is. And Dissly's getting better target share. Like, Dissly's averaging a 23% target share per game over his last 5. Mark Andrews has been over a 20% target share once this season, and it was without Isaiah Likely.
Well, and then you have the Chargers, going woke here with their pass rate over expected. Yeah, I mean, they're over their expected pass rate in 4 of their past 5 games. That's juicing everybody in this offense.
I was able to get Justin Herbert in so many leagues before all of this happened because people were dropping him and stuff, and it has been a godsend to me. Like, it has been great, yeah. I mean, my gosh, I love Justin Herbert so much right now. But yeah, Will Dissly, I think he's probably, I'd play him over Zach Ertz this week.
Yes, I probably would. Yeah.
All right, we got one more.
Oh yeah, Jatavian Sanders plays for the Panthers. I guess this all depends on Tommy Tremble and whether he'll be active, but we'll see. Takes on the Chiefs. Kansas City is allowing the second most tight end catches, the most tight end yards, and the Panthers will be forced, obviously, into a pass-first script because they are 10.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, 15-point implied team total for them, which is, and then of course we get Jonathan Brooks coming back this week, and by the way, you get the toughest matchup for running backs imaginable. Cool. It's gonna be the discourse will be great after that game. All right, let's move on to defense. I'll start. I'll go with the Buccaneers against the Giants. We already talked about the Giants not being very good offensively. We talked about Tommy DeVito taking sacks. The Giants have been a top 5 opponent for defenses this year. I don't know if this is going to be really an upgrade situation over Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs are 5.5-point favorites. There's a small total for the Giants. The other thing with the Bucs, they get the Raiders and Panthers over the next 2 weeks after this. They actually only have one bad matchup rest of season, and it's against the Chargers. So you cannot play them against the Chargers, but if you're in a league that like limits transactions or hoards defenses, this is the defense to hoard, or one of the defenses to hoard. Because they have an unbelievable schedule rest of season. So I like the Bucs this week against the Giants.
We love to hoard a good defense.
Yes.
What we do.
Yes.
Look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The Commanders are 10.5-point favorites against Dallas. And you're going to get some combination of Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. So, you know what to do.
It is good to see, though, with Cooper Rush that he can at least like not elevate, but like maintain some reasonable, like volume totals, like what Nick Mullins was able to do at times.
Yeah.
Like that's good for like CeeDee Lamb to me is still a top 20 wide receiver rest of the season, where it could have been disastrous. Like it could have been like, oh, we're talking him in like the 30 range or something like that.
Yeah, 78% drop back rate against Houston. So that's cool.
And their defense is playing so poorly that they're naturally going to be in these negative game scripts. All right, so we got the Bucs, the Commanders, we got Jatavian Sanders, Will Dissly, Zach Ertz, and then at quarterback we have Jameis Winston, Tommy DeVito, Will Levis, and Drake May. This is gonna be a terrible week.
Horrible. I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah, it's gonna be really bad. So sorry, guys. All right, let's go to Twitter and Blue Sky for some questions. This first one is from actually last week. It's from I Am Groot 2001. It says, which popular living the stream phrase is your favorite and why? Sorry to the kids, poop podcast, let's get some milkshakes, my lovely, lovely co-host, Denny Carter, or not to get political, or some that come to mind.
I'll say sorry to the kids. That always has made me laugh, no matter if you're using it or if I'm using it, whatever.
I think sorry to the kids is great when you don't need to be sorry to the kids. No. Like when you use it really ironically.
Right. If you're like, look, they got kicked in the butt. Like,
right. I'll also throw out there, you could do worse. I think that's or sack-based floor is another one.
Sack-based floor is a good one. Let's remember the origins of the sorry not to get political or sorry for getting political is when JJ once referenced. Was it on this show or your podcast?
I think it was just Twitter. I think it might have. Okay. No. I think it was Late Round Podcast. I think you're right. Yeah.
And you just referenced like an era of a presidency. Like
I said something about the Obama administration.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, as in like this happened between 2008 and 2016, right?
Right.
And someone was like, oh, you shouldn't get political. I mean, it's just like so indicative of like people's broken brains. Like you can't even identify an era by the president that was actually in office, like factually, like whether you liked him or not, he was there.
Well, things have gotten worse too since then in terms of like the reaction that people get. I mean, Denny, I know that you're not very active on Twitter or just not active at all anymore, but I announced on Twitter this past week that I was not leaving Twitter, but I had a Blue Sky account. Okay?
People are mad.
I cannot even explain to you how much name calling happened and like people calling me woke and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, guys, and then I went back and forth with one guy because he didn't get it, where I was trying to explain to him, and then finally he got it and apologized to me actually.
Wow.
But yeah, which was nice to see. But we went back and forth. I'm trying to explain to people like, I don't care if you're on Twitter or not. I'm going to Blue Sky because this is another social media platform where a lot of people are joining it. And I literally make a living off of audience, right? Like I want an audience and I want to speak to people. Do I like my experience on Blue Sky more than my experience on Twitter? I don't need to talk about that. I have my opinions. I don't care though. You don't need to know all. I'm literally just letting, like, if I were to go out and say, hey, look, I'm on Instagram, I would never get that kind of response. No, but it's the exact same thing. It's just another social media platform.
Right. I mean, everyone knows I cannot deal with the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. I find it to be like the most toxic, horrific place possible. So I'm off. I'm done forever there. But I can't imagine the the backlash that people are getting for even starting Blue Sky accounts, which is just crazy. Like stay in here with us, stay in hell with us. You belong here.
Yeah, it's just really strange to me. All of this has been just strange and eye-opening, and like I'm a pretty politically aware person. Especially, Denny's seen my growth of becoming more and more politically aware over the last decade.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those things where there's always something that still surprises me, where something can be, like I tweet something and people are like, "Oh, you knew that people were going to respond that way." And I'm like, "No, I truly didn't." Like I did not think that it was going to be as divisive. I thought there was going to be maybe a couple people that would
Yeah.
respond and say the things that they did, but it was overwhelming. Like there was a lot. And I don't care. I'm not mad. Don't put in the newspaper that I'm mad. I mean, realistically, I was not mad.
Yeah.
It's more so just like this, like shaking my head kind of vibe of
Yeah.
like, we're better than this as just humans. We don't need to be so angry all the time. It's just so stupid.
I know, I know I joke about like the Zoomers don't remember or whatever, but literally the Zoomers won't remember a time when everything wasn't hyper politicized.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago. It was like 15 to 20 years ago when this kind of stopped, when everything started to become politicized. So it's bad. So it's a really like generally it's a really bad trend that everything you say and do is hyper politicized in today's environment, because it creates conditions that are not conducive to like face-to-face interactions, to like community, like growing community. The divisiveness is off the charts. I don't know. You can't unravel it, so I don't really know what to say about. I don't have a solution to it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can't do anything or say anything without it being political, real bad development.
Yeah, I think that I get more upset with people who make assumptions about my character and who I am as a person too. Like I can't, like I need to live in an echo chamber, and that's why I'm going to Blue Sky. What are you talking about? I have friends who voted for Trump. I have friends who voted for Harris. Like it's not a thing for me to live in these echo chambers. Like it's not even remotely part of, like, I understand that people fall victim to echo chambers very easily. Like there have been times that I have, and I've literally like seen it, and I've tried to remove myself from it. But to assume certain things about me based on my behavior of creating an account on a social media platform is so unbelievably absurd and broken.
But yeah, I agree. But I think that for those folks, nothing has changed on the X platform. Like this is where we've always been.
Yeah.
Like, why would you go away? And I'm sorry, but that site died a long time ago. Like it is in the grave. It is never coming back. What we had is Twitter, fantasy football Twitter. That's dead, and it's never coming back. And so if accepted that, I think that you can see, oh, JJ Zacharyason's making Blue Sky account. I get it. But if you haven't accepted it, you see that and you go, no way. No, what is this guy doing?
The crazy thing though is that like I'm not even leaving.
No, I know.
It wasn't even a protest of the election. It wasn't a protest of Elon Musk. I'm not leaving. I still pay Twitter. I'm still paying. And I know that you'll have strong opinions on that too, which is fine, right? Like we all are able to have our own opinions on these things, but it's wild to me that one of my responses to people was, "Hey, I'm paying Twitter. Why aren't you paying Twitter?" To the people who were like angry at me, right? Because they don't have blue check marks. They're not doing the whatever dollars a month it is to do all of that. But like the bottom line is, man, like Twitter's a very powerful and important vehicle for me to support my family and make money. Like it's bottom line. Like I'm not hiding from that. Like I have a lot of followers on Twitter. It's a way for me to get my content out, and I'm not going to leave that sitting there, at the end of the day. And like I'll still converse with people. I still think that there's great people on Twitter, all of that kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, just the divisiveness is just out of control. And I've now gotten to the point, and I even said it on my Discord last week. Discord and the community that I built there with like late round fantasy football is the place where I can fire off my takes. where I can just do me, be me, talk about football, have other people be civil and talk about football. Every social media platform, you just can't do it anymore.
No. Discord is the way to go. You know, I logged back into X last week just to see if anybody had messaged me or whatever. And I had a few messages, but my replies were filled with Chargers fans telling me to go die. So that you know, like that's the sort of toxicity that we're talking about on that platform. It really is. I do feel like it's like actual hell on earth, and I'm
look,
happy to be away from it.
And that's good. Like you got to do what's best for you, and you got to do what's like. That's why I'm just so it's just so obnoxious that people get mad at other people's actions when they're just doing what they want to do. That's all this is. You're just doing what you want to do. Period.
Yep, that's right.
Stupid. Next question at not commie Esquire. This question may be more for Denny, as he is a fart denier. But we didn't talk about this last week. We should have talked about this last week. But did James Houston, this was 2 weeks ago, right? Did James Houston beat the pooped himself allegations by saying he sat in Gatorade? Did you see this?
No.
Where he was running down the field going for a sack, and his butt was like brown. It was like legit brown. I wish that I had a
picture of
a picture of it that I could like flash on the screen. But yeah, he claims though that he had sat in Gatorade. Now, after further investigation, I would agree that it wasn't poop, but it really looked like poop.
I can't speak on that, but you know, I guess it happens when you're exerting yourself to such a degree. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Next one, Justin White VA. When you shower, do you shut the door or keep it ajar? My wife likes to keep it open so it doesn't get too hot.
Yeah.
But I like to not get out of the shower to what feels like Arctic temperatures with nipples that could cut glass. Who is right and who is the sociopath?
God, jeez.
No, you keep it ajar, like you keep it a little open.
I'm not trying to make it like a sauna in there because
I like the sauna, bro.
No, here's the thing. I start sweating. And then I can't do my hair if I'm sweating. And so I got to keep it ajar. I got to let some cool air in. And because really the hair, takes priority, and if my scalp is sweaty, I can't do it. It's a disaster.
What % of the actions that you take during a day is directly involved with your hair?
Well, that part, I blow dry it. I put product in it.
And like whether or not you're going to wear a hat or
go ahead.
Are there actions that you take throughout a day where you're taking them and it's an inconvenience and you're taking them solely because of your hair? Like for instance, like if I know that I'm doing something later at night, like going out to dinner or something like that, where I'm not going to wear a hat during the day, I'd rather, even though wearing a hat is easier because you don't have to do your hair, but like I'll not wear a hat because that means that my hair's gonna be all jacked up. I literally would have to shower again in order for the hair to be okay, right?
Yeah, you got to think ahead, you know.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I don't know. I probably a lot of thought for me goes into my hair situation in a given day.
Yeah. I like the sauna vibes. You know, it's good. I also like because we have a clear, a shower, right, door and stuff like that. It's not like you can just see through it, and so I like having the privacy, if you will. In case the kids just come storming into the bathroom or something like that.
I have a curtain.
Yeah, right. So is your curtain? You keep it like part way open?
No. No. It's all the way closed. But the door, the bathroom door is.
The bathroom. I'm thinking of the shower door itself. But I'm also thinking about this now that you're talking about that. I'm also thinking like the way our master bath is situated. There's like higher ceilings and stuff, so I don't have to worry about the door as much as I have to worry about the actual shower door.
No. Okay. All right. No. I mean. What I'm talking about is the bathroom door, and just letting some cool air in, and not getting to the point where where I towel off and then I see beads of perspiration
Yeah.
start to run down my forehead.
I also think it depends on what you did before the shower. If you exercise before the shower, then it's even worse when you're like that.
It's over. Like I don't even like try to do my hair if I've exercised and then get in the shower. I'm going to be sweating for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott says, not saying I don't miss my hair, but God, I don't remotely miss making these hair-based decisions. I'll tell you what, I said this for a while now. If I could rock a bald head, I would absolutely be bald.
Really?
Yes. If I could rock it. Yes. If I could rock it. There's a big difference. I can't rock it. Like when I was created, our creator knew that I needed to keep my hair because I do not have the right head for a bald head.
Look, I don't want to hear that because you have an unbelievably good head of hair. It's just crazy thick.
It's
and
true.
You're saying you're just gonna cut it off. This is
I don't.
This is an affront to God.
I don't appreciate my hair enough. I'll tell you.
No.
Like I don't think about my hair. I probably have the thought in my head, the fact that I still have my hair and I'm in my like mid 30s now. I'm going to be 37 in February. Wow, that's scary. I think about my hair and having it once a month.
Well, I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Probably a little.
I would assume that guys probably think about it like once or twice a week.
Yeah. Well, I will say generally the rule of thumb is men who have thick hair and lots of hair and keep it well into their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. They're not thinking. They don't care. Like
right.
I don't know if it's chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah.
But generally, you guys just don't care.
Well, there's no other reality, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Everyone has something, right? Everyone's got some sort of, I talked about Chiari malformation earlier. Like everyone's got something going on, right? It just so happens that I don't have to worry about hair. Other people have to worry.
They can't see your weird brain, though.
That's right. Yeah, right. That's true. Well, what's funny is apparently people with Chiari have bigger heads, and it's facts because my head is gigantic. For the record,
it's big. It's big. It's not. I don't think
it's a giant head. I wear like a size 8 hat, Denny. I have a giant head. It's legit 8 whenever I have a normal set. Like I didn't get a haircut recently.
I'm not trying to one up you, but I think I wear a bigger hat.
There's no way you have a bigger head than me. That's just because of your hair.
Okay.
Like if we were to actually measure heads, I would have a bigger head. There's no doubt in my mind.
I struggle to believe that, but I guess if you feel strongly.
I feel strongly. I feel really strongly about this. So why don't you shut your mouth? Okay. Next question. This is from @Rawls McCoy. When's the last time you were stung by a bee? Last year for me.
Yeah, I think mine was 2 years ago. I was putting trash in the trash can outside, and I opened it up, and 2 bees just flew out. And one just got me on the hand, like bang, away.
That's what happened to CJ. He got something, which is scary when your kid gets stung for the first time.
It is.
Because you have no idea how they're going to react. I picked him up at daycare one day, and 5 minutes prior, he had gotten stung by a bee on his finger. And evidently the bee was just stuck on his finger, and he was like showing it to the teacher. And it was just there, like puncturing him.
What?
And he was just like, yeah. And so, before it swelled up a little bit. Like he looked like a used car salesman fingers after he got it.
What does that mean?
Like the sausage fingers, they always wear like rings and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about?
God. My dad's a used car salesman.
Okay, am I wrong? Does he have sausage fingers?
He does have sausage fingers. So
yeah, I know. There's like the Venn diagram of sausage fingers and used car salesman is literally just a circle.
But he's not a big jewelry guy.
Okay, that's fine. You don't need to be. I'm just saying sausage fingers. Like it's the blue collar, big hands. Like the thick fingers, thick fingers.
Thick fingers is the name of my ZZ Top cover band, by the way.
But yeah, he had a thick finger. He was on Team Thick Finger for a bit. But last year I was going for a run, and I was running up the final hill, and a bee went into my hoodie, and it stung my neck.
Oh.
Yeah. And I got home. I was like, I think I got stung. And then I looked and I got stung. Because when you're running, you're not like, you're already feeling so much pain that, other pain. You get punched in the forehead while you're running. And you probably wouldn't care.
I feel like you would. I feel like you actually would.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Next question at Didymus. This is from today, finally. I know we're all hashtag great dads and will support whatever career our kids want for themselves, but I really hope my kids don't do the same thing I've ended up doing. Do you have a lean as to whether your kids end up in the family business?
Family business.
I can't imagine what fantasy football analysis is going to be like in 20 years.
I know.
It'll
just be a chip you put in your brain, and you get the analysis that way.
Yeah, I don't really. I hope that, like, I already know that Avery's not like really into football. I hope that CJ is. He seems like he is early on, but like, I just want them to do what they like are passionate about.
Yeah, I want them to be into whatever they're doing.
Right, exactly. It's because it is so amazingly good for your body and your mindset and your, like, the fact that I love my job, the fact that I like do not stress about work is one of the greatest. Yes, it's like you don't realize. I mean, you do, but like it's the greatest blessing imaginable.
It is. I've had jobs where I desperately do not want to work.
Right.
Okay. And so I think I understand both sides of the coin. So I'm lucky to have a job where I can do that, where I can feel like good about getting up and like doing that sort of work. That's what you want. I mean, I like writing wise, I see some potential like in my son. He's 11.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be cool. And like I could, if anything, that's the family business from my end. So I would love that. But again, I would never pressure either of my kids to get into a certain thing.
I think it's just a matter of like the cliche chase your dreams kind of thing. Like, just like do what you're passionate about, find what you're passionate about, and don't settle. You know, that's what it comes down to.
And make a lot of money. And that's it.
Yeah. Next question at Elijah Dedick. I'm not even gonna try to say this.
That's a tough one.
I think there's a penis thing in here somewhere. What's something on your bucket list that you're excited about? And the reason I wanted to talk about this, do you have a bucket list, Denny?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. I've never really been. I don't know. I just feel like you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
I don't know. I mean, I can't even come up with anything right now.
You have stuff that you want to do, and then you'll just try to do it. You know, like if I'm like, hey, I want to take a trip to France.
Oh,
right. And that's on my bucket list.
You just said that. I was going to say I would love to bring my wife and my kids to Paris because my daughter and my wife are big into Paris. So
yeah. Right. But that's a thing that you'll just say to yourself, okay, I'll get that done someday.
Yeah.
You don't need a list.
You know? I don't know. I mean, list.
I don't know if I really have anything on I don't know if I have a bucket. Like, I don't have anything that I desperately want or need to do.
I've written books that are published on Amazon, and I self-published a book you can find on Amazon. It's called 96 Ways to Rise and Grind. I would like to actually like have like a novel published by a real publisher. That would be cool.
Yeah, I'd probably say something like maybe someday I'll run a full marathon or something like that. You know, like do. But that's, to me, that's not really bucket list. It's just achievement based. You know, I'm more goal oriented that way, as opposed to like I need to go to the Grand Canyon or something like that. You know.
I like when strangers wander into the stream and say, start Estime or Benson.
yeah.
Bro. Wrong show.
All right, we'll go to Blue Sky. This is from Deadlift. Deadlift says, I went to a big college football game last weekend, saw what I assumed was going to be two kids passing a football around. Instead, they lined up and ran a mock tush push in the tailgate area. What is happening to the kids?
Obviously, analytics has ruined the game and has ruined Gen Z.
Yes, that's evidently
horrific.
Evidently, like kids. It is funny. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I played pickup football in the backyard daily growing up, right, with friends in the neighborhood, and I wonder how much tush pushing would be going on right now if I lived in this generation.
This is a crazy. No, you cannot be doing tush push in backyard football games.
I'm just saying, who knows what kind of rules you would make to have to like enforce a tush push.
Oh my God.
I'm
This
just
is-
saying, man. I'm just saying. Like back in the day, we were just throwing Hail Marys constantly because Randy Moss was a thing, you know?
Yes.
Like it was just
yes.
that. That's all you cared about. But
You know,
maybe now it's tush push.
okay, so on the playground at school, somehow over like fifth and sixth grade, I became like the quarterback, and I didn't really mean to, but like I was able to like organize the offense in a way where people look to me to be the quarterback. So
Sure.
and again, not a great arm or anything. I'm not like fleet of foot. So, but I would do bunch. I didn't know what they were called, but I would do like bunch formations
Yeah.
where I would just have like 4 of my buddies like line up
Sure.
right next to each other. And their instructions were not specific. It was just like go out, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they were all shoulder to shoulder on the line of scrimmage would just throw off the defense so bad.
Yeah,
So
they had no idea what to do.
yeah, and they would just split apart, and it'd be wide open dude. And we would kill the other team that way. Where was I getting at? So that's how you play. That's how you play backyard football.
Next question is from Kevin Banks on Blue Sky. Says, who is this year's poster boy for LTS? So far, it doesn't seem like any one player has consistently been mentioned each week. Strange streaming season so far. So I saw this question and I actually looked it up because I like the analytics. So I think we have some graduates. We have Baker Mayfield as a graduate. We have Bo Nix now as a graduate.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Kate Otten as a graduate, right?
Kate Otten is huge.
Right. But then I looked at how many times we used certain players this year. Do you want to guess who the number one? There's one player who prior to this week was used 6 times. Do you know who it is?
Ertz.
It's Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz is probably the poster boy this year. Zach Ertz was used 6 times prior to this week, so 7 after this week. Otten and Parkinson, Colby Parkinson, were at 5. And then Justin Fields, Derek Carr, the Chargers defense, oddly, which is kind of good because like they're good defensively. Hunter Henry, Conk Daddy, Daniel Jones were all at 4. That's where we're so Zach Ertz is now lapping everyone after this week.
And honestly, it was always going to be that way.
Yes.
Like there was no chance that we were not going to just constantly just say Zach Ertz.
Yeah, right. And look, when you say like using a guy every week, when a player is good enough to get like mentioned, I know that we talk about kind of like crappier players, but when a player is good enough to get mentioned over and over and over again, usually his percent roster number goes up, which is why we can't mention them anymore. But Zach Ertz hasn't. It's just been the same. It's been 30% or like 25% all year long. No one's adding him.
I just want to address Frizzle in the chat says, what do you mean by wrong show and stranger? Look, if you're an LTS listener, you'll know that we don't do start sits on the show. I didn't mean, I don't mean to offend, but usually we have people come into the stream and go, hey, who I started Superflex, and we just don't do that.
This one's from Davis Nguyen on Blue Sky. Could the two of you beat Jake Paul in a 2v1 boxing match with the following stipulations? Number 1, you're both in the ring at the same time and use boxing scoring. And then number 2, instead of boxing gloves, Jake Paul has meat mountains and wins by stuffing the equivalent of 2 meat mountains down your throats.
Good God.
Look, if it was a 2v1 against Jake Paul, we would get destroyed.
Oh, yeah, no, are you kidding me?
We would get destroyed. By the way, I stayed up for that match.
Oh, really?
Why did I do that?
Why did you do that?
I don't know why. So I've been playing this game Balatro, which is like a card game. It's like it actually just got nominated for Video Game of the Year. It's like one of the 5 or 6 finalists. But it's this game called Balatro. Okay, and it's like a poker game. But you get like power-ups, and it's very, very addicting and fun. And so on Saturday or on Friday was the match. On Friday, I'm sitting there and I'm like, look, I can sit on my couch, play a little Balatro, and if I'm awake by the time things start to get close, then I'll stay awake for and then it started and then I was like, oh, it's getting close. And then it started like 45 minutes after I thought it was getting close. Right. And so I'm just like, I'm staying up for this. It was, I sent a tweet out and a post on Blue Sky where I said that match was just like an NFL game, except only the stuff that goes on between plays. That's what it was like. It was horrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah. I saw the replay. I didn't stay up for it, but how does Jake Paul like not know how to punch? I don't like.
It's all. I don't know. I don't know enough about boxing, to be honest with you, which is another reason why I should have never stayed up, because I don't even appreciate the sport enough to do that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it just was so, like, Mike Tyson looks so. I mean, he's 58 or whatever.
58. Yeah.
Like he looked 58. He
It's
looked like he was 58. I mean, like a jacked
Yeah.
58-year-old.
he is jacked. Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, boxing, it's a sad thing in today. It's basically a play thing for the ultra rich, right? And so you had like one of the undercards I saw was like a social media star from India versus a social media star from Argentina, and like, what are we doing? And I know that there were two pro matches.
Yeah,
And you could tell.
The ladies match was the best one. It was amazing,
right? And the women, you can tell, like, oh, these are actual like professionals. Like,
yeah, right.
They actually bring the level of fighting to a point where you're like, oh, I can't do that,
right? And you respect it, right?
And yeah, it is respectable. But wow, what a sad sport now. It's just terribly sad.
Yeah, when stuff like that is going on. We'll do one more. This is from Jason Brown on Blue Sky, number one punna. It says, another pod I listened to talked about this for a while. But what is your stance on booger eating? Not just picking your nose, but eating it as well. It made me convinced everyone that does it should serve jail time.
It's I know Aaron Rodgers was caught on camera doing this a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I've never. Is it like a genetic thing? Like, is it like a
right? Is it like a nervous system tick or something?
Yeah, I've never ever eaten a booger in my life.
Is it a form of anxiety? Because I don't want to make fun of it if that's the case.
Right.
But I will say, it is disgusting on like a visceral level. Like, I can't imagine going through. Look, have I picked my nose? Of course I've picked my nose.
Yeah, I pick my nose all. Yeah, I pick my nose all the time.
You feel a boogie in there, you got to get it out, right?
I'll pick my nose right now. Yeah, I pick my nose all the time.
Don't dare him. Don't test him.
Don't make me pick my nose, guys.
He'll do it. I've seen him. But yeah, but for Roger, whoever, to take it out and then eat it, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
this is
bizarre behavior.
Prison time. I'm for it.
Bizarre behavior. Anyway, Denny, that's going to do it for today's show. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, on Blue Sky, you can find all my work on Roto World. I have the regression files up right now.
I am on Twitter at LateRoundQB. I'm also on Blue Sky at LateRoundQB. You can find my stuff over on LateRound.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Live in the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live in the stream.